장국 씨 오랜만이에요.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Diaries channel. Have you ever felt something off? Every time Jimin and Jungkook almost touched in front of the camera, and then suddenly a staff member came over and adjusted their position? At first glance, it seems like a small thing, but it's precisely from there that so many questions arise. Are they forbidden? Is there a special rule? Or is there actually a much deeper and more touching reason than we imagine? Many people immediately think negatively. Many also feel sad, as if their closeness is being restricted. But what if the opposite is true? What if it's not about distancing, but about protecting? Not about separating, but about preserving something very precious from being damaged by the world's spotlight. In this video, we'll uncover the meaning behind the staff's often misunderstood gestures. We'll see that not all distance means separation, and not all restrained touch means lost feelings. Because sometimes, the truest love is revealed in how someone chooses to preserve, not flaunt. Jimin and Jungkook are not only two individuals who share a strong emotional bond, but also two global artists with busy schedules, immense pressure, and almost never-ending public scrutiny. Their every movement, every glance, every tiny touch could be analyzed by millions. In such a world, staff aren't there to limit happiness or separate intimacy, but rather to maintain a balance between humanity and the immense demands of professionalism. Many fans see moments when staff members appear to block physical interactions like holding hands, touching shoulders, or even lightly hugging, and immediately interpret it as a form of personal prohibition. However, in the reality of the entertainment industry, especially at a global level like BTS's, even small things have a huge impact. One simple gesture can make headlines, be misinterpreted, twisted, and spark endless speculation. This is where the role of staff becomes crucial, not as barriers to feelings, but as keepers of the situation safe and under control. The title uses the word revealed, not to reveal dark secrets, but to invite us to open our eyes to the fact that what appears on the surface often doesn't represent the whole story. Many assume the staff members don't want Jimin to touch Jungkook because of personal issues, conflicts, or emotional distance. However, if we look deeper, we'll find that the two continue to show their closeness in subtler, more mature, and more meaningful ways. That closeness doesn't always have to manifest in obvious physical contact on camera. In a world filled with fan expectations, staff have a huge responsibility to maintain the image, comfort, and safety of artists. They must ensure that every public appearance runs smoothly, without causing misunderstandings that could have long-lasting consequences. When they maintain physical distance, it's often not about separating two hearts, but about protecting two individuals from the pressure of excessive public interpretation. Jimin and Jungkook are mature enough to understand this dynamic. The two have grown up together under the spotlight from a young age. They know when to show warmth, when to hold back, and when to express concern in a more subdued manner. That's precisely where the beauty of their relationship lies. Not in how often they touch, but in how deeply they understand each other without always being visible. There are many small moments that are often overlooked by eyes too focused on physical touch. A brief, meaningful glance, a small smile that appears for no reason, the way they stand close together even though they aren't touching, or the way they notice each other in a crowd. All of these are forms of connection no less powerful than a touch or a hug. When staff members appear to be preventing certain interactions, it often occurs in formal situations like official events, press conferences, or moments with strict protocols. There, every gesture carries symbolic meaning. The staff are tasked with ensuring the event remains professional. They ensure the public's focus remains on the work, not speculation about personal relationships. But what's often forgotten is that once the cameras are off and the event is over, Jimin and Jungkook are back to being themselves. They're back to being two friends who support each other, encourage each other, and understand each other's journeys. We may not always see it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. This title also reflects how fans often project their own emotions onto real-life situations. It's incredibly complex. The desire to protect, the desire to see our idols happy, and the desire to ensure that the relationships we admire remain intact can sometimes lead us to jump to conclusions that aren't necessarily true. However, love and closeness don't always need to be obvious to be felt.
가자. 안 됐대. 가자 좀. 너 준호한테 말 걸지 뭐해? 가자.
In fact, in many cases, the strongest relationships are those that don't need to be announced or displayed. They're felt in serenity, in security, and in unwavering trust. Jimin and Jungkook demonstrate this time and again through their actions toward each other, even when physical distance must be maintained due to professional demands. If we're honest, the beauty of Jimin and Jungkook's relationship never depends on how often they touch each other. It lives in the consistency of support, in the unwavering comfort, and in the long journey they've traveled together. And the staff, despite their limitations, often simply strive to ensure that journey remains safe, stable, and dignified. But what often goes unnoticed is how strong Jimin and Jungkook's bond is when they are able to hold themselves together. Resisting the urge to openly display warmth doesn't mean eliminating feelings, but rather demonstrates emotional maturity. They understand that love and caring don't always have to be displayed in the most visible forms. Many fans have begun to notice that when staff are around, Jimin and Jungkook tend to communicate in more subtle ways. A brief glance can replace a touch. A small smile can replace a hug. And in this stressful world, such forms of communication often feel more intimate and meaningful. Jimin and Jungkook's relationship isn't built on moments that must always be visible. It's built on trust that's grown over the years, on shared experiences, and on the understanding that they're each other's refuge in a very busy world. And such a relationship isn't easily shaken just by physical distance maintained in some public situations. And ultimately, we come to a simple yet profound conclusion. What's seen in front of the camera doesn't always reflect the whole truth. When staff members appear to maintain distance, when there are moments where touch isn't happening, it doesn't mean that feelings are gone. Nor does it mean that the relationship has changed. In fact, it's often a sign that there's so much more to protect. There's comfort, there's dignity, there's personal space, and there's emotional calm that's far more important than just what we want to see. Jimin and Jungkook have walked a very long journey together. They've grown, learned, fallen, risen, and shown together. Such a bond isn't fragile. It doesn't depend on one or two small moments in front of the camera. It thrives on trust, a sense of security, and an understanding that doesn't need to be announced to the world. And perhaps that's precisely why their relationship feels so strong and genuine. As fans, our job isn't to find opportunities to create drama, but to be a safe space for them. A space filled with understanding, support, and respect. When we learn to see situations with a calmer heart, we'll realize that many things that once seemed painful were actually born out of an intention to protect. So, instead of asking why there's distance, perhaps we can start asking how we can be part of that protection. How we can love them without demanding too much. How we can support them without always having to see the evidence right in front of our eyes. Because mature love is love that gives space, not one that forces it to be seen. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey to the end. If you feel this perspective has opened up new ways of thinking, don't forget to hit the like button so more people can see the softer and fairer side of this story. Also, share this video with friends who may still be wondering so we can learn to understand together. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss out on warm, meaningful, and empathetic stories about Jimin, Jungkook, and the world around them. See you in the next video. Keep guarding your heart, keep spreading kindness, and keep supporting them in the most beautiful way, with understanding.